If you even attempt to bring up any of these fragrances around self-proclaimed niche snobs, they're probably going to laugh and say that these are cheap pieces of garbage. And so it is true that a lot of these are more affordable than niche, right? The price point is lower. That doesn't make them worse, inferior products. It doesn't make them bad. Actually, it really opens this hobby up to a lot more people. And don't get me wrong, there are a few designers in here that are still around $100, but that's still not even coming close to touching some insane niche prices out there. Others of these you can actually get for around $30, $40. So we're just gonna work our way through these one at a time. I'm gonna go over each one and just kind of give you a pretty simple rundown on them. These aren't necessarily ones you've never heard of, but they are brought up often to the point where they can get some hate sometimes. And so I just kind of want to alleviate some of that and explain why these are worth picking up, especially if you're not looking to spend an outrageous amount of money. And in order to actually save money in this hobby, you got to shop on Discounter. So I'll link all these down below and you can get them for yourself. This first one is Montblanc Explorer. So as far as designer brands go, Montblanc typically comes in at a little bit more of an affordable price point. So this one here is going to be in that $30 range like I was referencing there. You've heard of Montblanc Explorer, which is around $45 to $50. Of course, you have the Legend lineup, and they have a lot of things to choose from. But again, the general trend is that they're $50 and below on discounters. And Star Walker is by no means nothing new. It's been out for a long time now. It's a great, uplifting, bamboo, citrusy summer scent. It's essentially how I describe that one. Kind of, if you've smelled Versace Eau Fraiche before, it's somewhat similar to that, just in that ballpark where it's kind of oceanic in a way. It has this almost Caribbean vacation in a bottle type of aspect about it. I wouldn't want to say it smells like a suntan lotion or a sunscreen like you might hear, certain fragrances labeled as sometimes, but it just gives off the impression of nothing but good times on the beach. And so this is obviously, being a fresh scent, going to be a great mass pleaser, one that pretty much anybody and everybody could get along with. Even if it's not something that, completely blows you away and is something brand new, it's still something that, for the price point you can wear anytime, period, but especially in summer. This next one here is Armani Stronger With You Intensely. You guys know how much I love Stronger With You, absolutely. And this is probably one of my second favorites, at least if we're talking the main lineup. Now, they've got their more exclusive ones. They recently announced Stronger With You Tobacco, which I can't wait to try because I'm a big tobacco fan. And so I'm hoping that they are really putting that note to work, because some of their exclusive editions, like Stronger With You Oud, doesn't necessarily feature a ton of oud. So I'm excited about that one, but my hopes aren't set super high either. And I don't necessarily like to rope those into videos all the time because availability can be a bit tricky on those. However, typically the main line, the eau de toilette, the eau de parfum, and sometimes absolutely the parfum, are typically going to be a bit easier to get. And I think those main three are pretty much all in stock right now at the time of me recording this. And so, I talk about absolutely a lot. I think Intensely is a really good release as well. And it just has that kind of toffee, gourmand, almost hazelnut, kind of chocolatey sweetness going on that is trendy, it's modern, and it's been used a lot recently, but it just works really well. And when you see something utilized to that heavy extent, it's because it works so well. Again, we're talking designer brands here, not niche. And the main primary objective of designer brands when it comes to fragrances and most everything is just sales and getting it out there. And so whenever they find a certain style that works, everybody gets in on it. And that's kind of what this one is. Take a look at the blue fragrances, same thing. But that doesn't mean that this is just worthless and that it's just complete trash and garbage. I do think even still, after this lineup has been out for a while now, you could still pull this one off and just have a little bit of a unique twist surrounding you. You know, it's not as common as the Invictus fragrances. It's not as common as some of the other more popularized sweet fragrance lineups. So I do think that this still could provide a lot of value to the wearer. Now, this next one here, oh man, I've told this story a million times. I probably won't get into it, but it's YSL L'Homme Le Parfum. One that I almost never got because it got lost at sea, but eventually got a bottle. And it was one that, you know, just to be realistic, I wasn't all that excited about, because looking at the note breakdown and just kind of how they marketed this one, the bottle color or the blue gradient, you know, I was thinking, yeah, it's kind of blue fragrance looking. You know, was my impressions when I was, of course, just shopping based off of the notes and the bottle and that sort of thing. And I wasn't too far off. I don't think most of us, you know, were wrong in our, you know, prior assumptions to this before trying it. However, it is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And the way that I describe this one, that seems to be the easiest, and again, it's just using other scents to help get the point across, is it kind of combines the original YSL L'Homme, which is where this lineup all started, a gentleman's classic, a beauty of a scent, and then they also work in some Y Eau de Parfum, obviously from the same brand, the amberwood blue fragrance aromatic DNA. You get the best of both worlds. Some of that modern kind of blue, fresh, aromatic sweetness to some extent, because YEDP does have some of that sweetness going on. But then you get that more gentleman's like ginger, lavender, aromatic, woody, masculine scent DNA. You just get a little bit of both with this. And, you know, the first half of that, the L'Homme comparison, makes sense, of course, because it's a L'Homme flanker. And so I'm glad that they maintained some of that DNA. They're just making it a bit more up to date for younger guys especially, but really anyone could wear this. One thing that's for sure, this is just something that everybody's going to like. Everybody's going to appreciate it. Everybody's going to smell this on you and just think you smell great and clean and well put together. And for a lot of people, that's all they really care about. Next up, we have Rocus Mustache Eau de Parfum. So, you know, this one was one of the first YSL tuxedo alternatives or clones or whatever. Not going to go out there and say it was the first, but one of the first. And so when it comes down to clones and you know, alternatives and whatever it might be, there's always going to be a stigma surrounding that, and there's going to be a lot of people who don't agree with that. This is one that I really like a lot for the following reasons. One, the price point to quality to performance ratio is above average. So you're looking at around $45 to $50 for this. You can get testers with a cap for a bit less, and that's the way to go if you want to save some money. So when you take a look at that price and then you smell this one and you realize that it has really, really good quality, it hangs out with some scents that are, you know, about double the price of this, at least to me. I don't see any inconsistencies with this one in terms of, you know, maybe the opening smelling cheap, but then the dry down smelling, you know, more well put together. Like everything about this one from start to finish is just premium smelling. The presentation is great. The performance, like I mentioned, is also great. So that whole bundle right there is the first thing that I love about this. The second thing that I love about this one is that it's YSL Tuxedo, but with a twist. I have YSL Tuxedo, and I also have pretty much all of the other YSL Tuxedo clones. And so, you know, when you have all of that stuff, another clone is simply another clone. Not everybody needs them. This is not really just another clone. And again, this was out before a lot of those other alternatives, but this one has a little bit of a different take on that DNA. You know, you're still getting the patchouli and the spiciness, but it's just a pink pepper, vanilla benzoin approach. So it's more of a vanillic sweetness with kind of a slight powdery, kind of dusty benzoin in here, just giving it a little bit of a balance from like a syrupy vanilla. And so the patchouli coming through, tying it back, the pink pepper, the spices also tying it back. So it's just a little bit of a refreshing, different style on that type of scent. And I don't know if I'm just delusional or what's going on, but every time I look at the price of YSL Tuxedo at retail, it seems like it goes up. I could have swear when I got my bottle and split it out and sold decants of it years ago, it was $250 for the 120 or 125 like standard size bottle. I'm pretty sure that's what it was back then. And then I looked because I was like, okay, I need to make sure I'm up to date. I could have sworn I looked and then it was $275 or something, or $270 for that bottle recently. And I just looked again, and again, I don't know, I could be wrong, but now it's $290 for the 125 ml. I just think it keeps going up, or I'm just losing my mind, or both. And so that's a long way of saying that for a designer, that's a lot of money. That's not even truly niche, but it's priced that way. So not everybody has that type of money laying around, and if they did, maybe they don't want to spend that much on it. So you have alternatives out there, and this is a great one. Next up, we have Missoni Parfum. This one's been talked about a lot, nothing new here. It's a $40 scent, nice magnetic cap, cool presentation. Gets compared to Bleu de Chanel, gets called a Bleu de Chanel clone. I wouldn't call it a clone, but I would say that there are definitely similarities from the grapefruit, the birch, that sort of thing. It doesn't have the incense smokiness necessarily, just more focus on the woods. Doesn't even have the same level of that bright grapefruit like Bleu de Chanel, so definitely some differences, although I would agree that they are in a very similar genre, and in situations that you would likely be gravitating towards Bleu de Chanel, you could also wear this one and substitute this in for it, or vice versa. So if Bleu de Chanel is out of your budget, or you want something different that will work for those same situations, Missoni Parfum will work for you. One little key clarification here is that this is called Missoni Parfum. I mean, it's literally even on the bottle. Missoni Parfum pour Homme. But it's an eau de parfum, also on the bottle. So don't think you're getting a pure parfum for 40 bucks. It's an EDP. However, it still has good performance for this price point. Now, it could be better, but if this was more expensive, then I would be, rough on it for that. At this price point, it's about on par with what most scents are doing for performance in this price point. It's a really easygoing scent. Next up, we have Dolce & Gabbana Intenso. Those two bottles, coincidentally, look somewhat similar, at least in terms of the coloration there. However, they couldn't be further from each other. So, sometimes just the going after the look of the bottle to think you're going to like it or something for some reason isn't always the most accurate thing evident right here, because this one's a bit interesting. It's got lavender, tobacco, hay, basil. You get some watery notes in there as well, and many more. This was released a while ago, back when they gave you full extensive note breakdowns for, releases and stuff. No longer the case. Yet another thing that's changing for some reason. But yeah, this is not your everyday run-of-the-mill men's designer scent that you would smell often. Again, that's an interesting combo there, and it's evident when you smell it too. Like, that's interesting, but in a good way. Very aromatic heavy. Definitely more of a gentleman's classic style of scent. Completely different than the Dolce & Gabbana light blues and just a lot of new style scents. So if you want something a bit more throwback, but also affordable with great quality, it's slept on, it's easy to probably hate on, it's easy to forget about for some, but it's worth trying. And this next one's going to get hate just until the end of time because of the fact that it's a flanker of a mega popular designer scent that ruled everything for a period of time. And so, it's always going to have that. But it's Eros Flame. Again, I've told this story many times, so I'm not going to get into it. The long and the short of it is that I've come to really enjoy this one a lot, whereas I never used to as much. And what I like about it simply is that it's just not as minty and sweet as Eros EDT, EDP, even somewhat Parfum. And there's nothing wrong with those aspects of that. That's what makes Eros what it is. But this one does have more of an orange, more of like a black pepper off the top. It's a little bit more citrusy, fruity, lighter, and aromatic off the opening, but also just throughout the entirety of the scent. I'm actually giving it just, a bit more of a refreshing and kind of uplifting feeling, whereas Eros is more of like, you smell it and it's minty and vanillic, and kind of harsh in one way or another, just because the mint coming through, which is, Eros, it's a clubbing scent is what's labeled as. It just has higher energy to it, whereas Eros Flame to me is a little bit more comforting and soothing, but at the same time just has more of like a bright, uplifting style to it, making it more suitable for like spring, early summer, early fall. And then when it's really cold outside, you might be more inclined to wear Eros EDT, EDP Parfum. This one's more for the mild weather, and I really like it. It's one that, again, is easy to forget about and hate about, but actually try it and spend some time with it like I have. You might end up really liking it a lot more than you thought. Last up, we have Prada L'Homme Low. Prada L'Homme has received all of the hype over the years. People might look at Prada L'Homme Low as like a cash grab, just kind of a minimal effort flanker, because, Prada L'Homme is already fresh. And so to release a fresh flanker of an already fresh scent might look a little bit counterintuitive. And it's been done before. They're not the first to do it. And I can see where people might be coming from with that thought process. The truth is, everybody's different. And for some people, the original Prada L'Homme still might be a bit too powdery for them for warm weather. Especially, another thing to think about that seems to be absent for a lot of people is that everybody lives in a different climate. You might live somewhere where it's more mild during the summertime. Other people might live somewhere where it's brutally humid and hot, or on the other end, just super dry and hot, or maybe it doesn't get all that hot, So everybody's living in a different area with different tastes, and there's something for everybody out there. So Prada L'Homme Prada L'Homme Low simply is what it looks like, just a fresher, brighter, more citrusy forward version, dialing back the iris a little bit. I think it's a really nice flanker. Is it my favorite flanker? No. Prada L'Homme Intense is by a mile. I love everything about that. Heavier, sweeter, denser, richer, more interesting. But also, this fresher version here is a great one to have too. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. These are going to get some hate, there's no doubt about it, but they're better than you might think, and they really can prove themselves and add some value to an existing collection. I'll link them down below if you want to be the first to know about new fragrances, brand new fragrances hitting discounters below retail, or if you want to be the first to know about rare discontinued scents coming in stock, jump on my mailing list and texting list, and you will be the first to know anytime something like that comes up. I will send out a notification. You can get yours before it's too late. Think about all the new releases that have dropped on us all at once that are way too expensive. Why Elixir, Hugo Boss, The Scent, Elixir, many more that I'm blanking on, Valentino Green Extravaganza, etc. You guys know the drill. All of those that are just too expensive at retail, they're going to be coming up shortly on discounters, and they're going to sell quick. I promise. If you get on my lists, I'll get you taken care of. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.